Hey everybody, welcome back to Dope Like Comics. We are continuing our journey with Fantastic Four. No omnibus post burn, but this is immediately fallen and burn. We're going to switch over to the Epic Collections for a little while. This is All in the Family, written primarily by Roger Stern, which is excellent. Chris Claremont does a 4 issue, which is pretty cool. And then we start the Englehart era, which is an era I wasn't looking forward to. Spoilers, but we'll go through all of it. There'll be some light spoilers through all of it. But what does this actually collect? And it features the worst wedding in comic book history. But what does it actually feature? So we got Fantastic Four 296 through 307, annual number 20, and then the Fantastic Four versus the X-Men 1 through 4. So we'll go through this. So it kind of opens up with sort of a short run by Roger Stern, which I wish he would have stayed on longer because he really had a great voice. This one, this issue is written by Jim Shooter and Stan Lee. This is basically the return of the Thing. So he's been gone for a while. He came back. He quit the Fantastic Four because of Johnny and Alicia's terrible relationship, and which was a reasonable crash out. And so now Thing is like his series has wrapped up under Burn, I believe. So I think that title was canceled. So now this is him coming back to our main world, but he's not coming back to join the Fantastic Four. And that's kind of the chief issue here. So Stan Lee is back, at least scripting all of the characters here. And basically the Thing is going to join Monster Island with the Mole Man.
All your books.
Got my daughter here with me. All right, so the Thing becomes the second in command to Mole Man because he believes he needs to sort of shut himself off from the world because he is ugly and he can't come to grips with how he looks, and that the woman he loves is with Johnny Storm. And the Fantastic Four goes because they're like, you're not gonna, join up with our, and be a villain. We're gonna go and try to get you to come back. Through this, like Johnny gets scarred so that he's ugly, but the Thing is still the Thing at heart, and so he still wants to save and rescue Johnny, even though he is upset. But this is a good little sort of introduction story just to get the team back together. Now, She-Hulk still stays around for a while, thankfully, because she is just a wonderful addition to the team. And also going forward, we're gonna have some great inkers through this. I should have went over this. So our main writers, or Shooter did the graphic novel. We got Stan Lee, Roger Stern, Thomas Englehart, but the pencilers are going to mostly be John Buscema. We got John Bogn. I don't know how to say the last name. Sorry about that. But our inkers are going to be mostly Sal Buscema and Joe Sinnott. Joe Sinnott is my favorite Fantastic Four inker by far, even though Sal is great too. So now we start the Roger Stern era, and this is just like really good. This story is basically there's two brothers, one who is super smart, one who's super strong. They're in a far off, distant galaxy or star system, and in their war, the smart guy to match power with his brother starts to absorb our sun and drain power from our sun. So Fantastic Four steps in to intercede, and throughout that process, the two brothers come to our solar system, but they're fused together. So now they're smart and strong. And so, and at this time, so the Thing has obviously rejoined the team, but now he's wearing a helmet because he's still just ashamed of his look. Johnny asks Alicia to marry him and to get engaged. And unfortunately, the Thing overhears that. I really hate this that relationship, but you need some drama, right? So this is the guy. This is the combined force. They're coming to, conquer this world because they're a conquering race. And this is where the Thing just gets to fully unload. And look at this artwork. This is the Basuma brothers. Excellent art, especially in combination. And he just unleashes on them until She-Hulk kind of tells Thing, "Hey, relax." So that's that story. I won't go into sort of how it ends or where the resolution comes from. But then we're gonna get a big fight between She-Hulk and the Thing. And this all gets sets up because not only is Johnny gonna marry the Thing's ex-girlfriend, he asks the Thing to be his best man in the wedding and stand up. And so, again, reasonable crash out. The Thing is like, "Get away from me." And She-Hulk, being a good friend, tracks down Ben and to talk to him. And we actually get Roger Stern getting to briefly rewrite Spider-Man. This is a couple years after he finished his run on Spider-Man, but we get Black Suit Spider-Man coming back. But the big thing here is that She-Hulk sort of knows Thing needs to let off steam, so she sort of picks a fight with him. And so we finally get to see, instead of Hulk and Thing, we get to see She-Hulk and Thing get into a fight. And this is like actually a pretty epic fight, but it is lighthearted because she's just trying to help him out. But we have transitioned immediately into the worst marriage in all of comic books, which is Alicia and Johnny. The Daily Bugle sort of leaks out that the wedding is happening. Doom finds out about the wedding. And of course, there's going to be this plot. So Alicia Masters, her stepfather, is the puppet master, and he's determined to sort of stop the wedding. And he's teaming up with the Thinker and the Wizard. I was like, there's another one. And the Wizard from the Frightful Four to stop it. Also, throughout these pages, we're going to see a whole lot more Franklin Richards starting to use his powers. And during this era, the main manifestation of his power is going to be basically dream walking. When he goes to sleep, he can basically go anywhere and observe or talk. It's actually inconsistent on if people can hear him talk or not. But basically, he can dream walk anywhere. And that's going to be a big thing throughout this. So we won't go into how the wedding happens or doesn't happen or how does that go down because the villains are determined to immediately interrupt the wedding. But we'll see how that sort of plays out. As a consequence of that storyline, they are starting to, I think Reed is starting to see the seeds of needing to explore Franklin's powers. I'm going to skip that. We get a small story with Johnny and Alicia post the wedding special and them finding like a hidden group that's trying to basically doom shelter from like the nuclear fallout that they expect all is going to happen. This is the 80s, very Cold War heavy. But they find out that, they're also they've also stolen nuclear material. So this is kind of a solo Johnny Storm story. And then we get Roy Thomas coming back with Titania, character he created. She's just a joy. She was throughout Omnibus Volume 5, was sort of the Thunder. Oh, I'm sorry, Titania. I'm thinking of She-Hulk. Thundra Thundra is back. She's awesome, and she's like kind of there to for Ben Grimm. But now we start the Steve Englehart series, and it's kind of weird because they do one issue of Steve Englehart, then they do the X-Men versus Fantastic Four by Claremont, and then they come back to Englehart. They should have did X-Men now, that 4 parts, and then transitioned into Englehart, because this reading order doesn't make sense. But it's okay. So basically, the whole crux, the whole setup to the Englehart era is that they're going to have Reed and Sue retire because they want to go spend more time with their son, which makes sense. There are Fantastic Four fans who don't like that, but you got to shake up the formula. You got to shake up the team. I get it. It doesn't. And so Ben is going to now be leading the Fantastic Four. And so we're going to be finding out over the next few issues who's going to be on the Fantastic Four led by Ben Grimm. And man, Steve Englehart really loves the West Coast Avengers. I think he's writing it at this time. I'm not exactly sure on the exact time, but throughout his run and into the next series, it's going to be nonstop follow-ups and references and stories and characters from West Coast Avengers. It's going to be very West Coast Avenger heavy. So we're going to have Pietro. He's crashing out at this point. So Johnny used to date the Inhuman Crystal until she left him and married Quicksilver. At this point in time, apparently Quicksilver has gone evil in the pages of like the Avengers, West Coast Avengers, and Wanda and Vision, because Crystal cheated on him with just a regular human. And so now, I don't know if that's the reason he's crashing out. I haven't read those stories, but he's evil now. And the relationship between him and Crystal is definitely on the rocks. So now he's been very antagonistic, sort of fighting Inhumans and fighting the Avengers and fighting Fantastic Four. And this is how we find out that Crystal wants to get divorced from Quicksilver, but the Inhumans don't want her to just because of appearances. Like, got to stay with your family. And now that's immediately interrupted for a 4-part Fantastic Four versus X-Men, which really should have came before the start of that story, because it just drops right in the middle of it. But basically, Franklin's having visions that Doom and Reed are going to join together and sort of kill everybody. So this is right after Fall of the Mutants, in which, and this is all written by Claremont, so this is really more of an X-Men story than it is a Fantastic Four story. So in the post of Fall of the Mutants, light spoilers, I guess, but basically Kitty Pryde is now can't turn tangible. She's sort of stuck intangible. So the X-Men are seeking out Reed, who has technology that can help save her, but he refuses to. And that starts quite a bit of tension and fights, because X-Men and the Fantastic Four have long been friends. And with Reed's refusal to help, Dr. Doom steps in to offer his assistance. And the X-Men are like, hey, Reed, if you're not going to try, you're not going to explain why either, we're going to, go with our option that we have. So we get some epic fights here. One thing to note here is that Storm gets severely injured from the Human Torch. She was trying to sort of step in to stop the fight and gets hit from the Human Torch, and she gets some severe burns, like 2nd and 3rd degree burns. She has to go through surgery. This is important for later, as I think it's in the next Epic Collection that we talk about that Johnny displays a power that he doesn't display here. So there's some inconsistencies between the writers on what the abilities are. But basically, this is them the X-Men joining up with Doom so that they can cure Kitty, and what is going to happen is causing tension with the Fantastic Four. I won't spoil how that story goes, but it is a really good story, mini-series. We come back to the Thing putting together his team. Of course, he wants... And we're dealing with the fallout again of Johnny, Marion, Alicia, Silver Surfer attacking Crystal. So Crystal is back here. And we start to see the formulation of the new Fantastic Four, which includes not only... Oh, we get some Doom action here. So Crystal comes back to the Fantastic Four when she was there previously. And I'm trying to see if we get this introduction of this other kid. Yes, we do. So, and then the other fourth member is Sharon. She goes by the name of Miss Marvel at this time, but she is a character. I think she started in the Thing. She was like a wrestler while the Thing was torn, and then she went over to Mark Grunwald's Captain America, where some extremely terrible and tragic things happened to her. And so she is a character who's really in the depths of post-traumatic stress. And this is sort of the fallout for her character, really having to deal with how do you overcome trauma, and it's messy, and it's ups and it's downs, and you make mistakes, and there's bumps in the road to recovery. But her story is extremely tragic, and she is sort of trying to join the Fantastic Four and sort of heal through that while also contributing to the team. And I think that's one of the best parts of the Englehart era, is that there is this... I don't say realistic, but there is this dealing with trauma in a way that's not like just, okay, in one issue they're now over it, and now the team is okay, and it's like it's really actually dealing with the fallout of traumatic events. So that's kind of where we wrap up, is basically just getting the team all back together. And then, epics have really light extras. But this is the start of the Englehart era. The Roger Stern stuff is really great. The marriage is terrible. Fantastic Four versus X-Men is always a good time. Who would you think wins all out? Do tell me who. And the X-Men team here is... Who's the X-Men team? Okay, it's going to be... Storm doesn't really join the fight, but it's Psylocke, Wolverine. Let me see who else is actually in the fight. Magneto. Who would you say? It's mostly Wolverine crashing out, to be honest with you. Everybody else is trying to be like reasonable, but Wolverine is really crashing out. Who would you say wins X-Men versus Fantastic Four? Just showing up randomly, and then also if both teams have prep time, because I think Reed is like one of the most dangerous comic book characters ever with prep time. Who do you got? X-Men versus Fantastic Four.